I'd like you to meet our 6 daughters. Carlene, Tara, Roseanne, Cindy, Kathy, and Rosie. For the first time, our family comes to a Christmas without Mother Maybelle Carter. June's mother and a member of that trio, the Carter family, became the first family of country music over 50 years ago. Mother Maybelle loved the spiritual songs.
Hello and welcome to the History of Johnny Cash. I'm your host for this evening's program, John Salee, and with us tonight is none other than one of Johnny Cash's daughters, Cindy Cash, and the founder and producer of the Roadshow Revival Johnny Cash Tribute Festival, Ross Emery. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
John. Cindy, as one of Johnny's daughters, what can you tell us about growing up in the Cash household?
Oh my gosh. It was a happy place for me, personally. It might not have been for my mom, which it probably wasn't. But for me, I didn't really have a sense of my dad's fame until I was much older. Until I was probably, 11, 12 years old. Everything was okay as far as I knew, but it wasn't. It really wasn't.
I think that might have been the era we grew up in, actually.
It is.
You don't realize something's wrong with your parents until all of a sudden, what happened?
Right, and that was disturbing enough in itself.
Yeah.
But I would see him on TV, and I didn't even get the concept of TV. I mean, back then TV was 3 channels around here, and Casita Springs especially. But I didn't get that concept, and I saw him get killed in a music video. He made music videos back in the 50s.
Yes.
He was like one of the pioneers of music videos. And in one of them that he made, Don't Take Your Guns to Town, he's killed in this video. My mother had to find him out on the road somewhere to bring him to the phone to tell me he was okay. That was not for real, it was pretend. And
wow.
Yeah, so that was a music video happening in whenever Don't Take Your Guns to Town came out, a long time ago.
Wow.
But I mean, my mom tried to keep it as normal as possible, but it was difficult.
Yeah, that's funny. You never knew your dad was famous.
Not until he picked me up from school one day. I was in the 4th grade at St. Catherine's by the Sea, which is now a nunnery.
Yes.
We all 4 were in Catholic school, all 12 years, and graduated from St. Bonaventure, all of us.
Yeah, we have mutual friends we were discussing earlier.
I know. I run into somebody a lot
great.
since I've moved back here
That's
6 years ago that I went to school with. But then I started thinking about that and forgot what I was saying. So let's see. What was I saying?
I was just trying to ramble on myself. So. My dad mostly was famous for not being home at all. So
I remember when he picked me up at school, and I was just so excited that my friends were going to get to see finally that I had a father, because he never picked me up at school. Never.
Right.
Never has been. He was like this mysterious, dark-haired man that nobody had ever seen. And when he pulls up, and he picks me up, I'm so proud. The next day at school, though, everybody said, and I was devastated. I was like, well, yeah, but, it was hard to take. That's, I think, my first slap in the face with his fame.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Maybe you can tell us about some, fun visits with some of your father's superstar friends.
Oh, that was the fun part. I remember as a kid, the people I remember as a kid living on the hill in Casita Springs, here in Ventura County, were Tex Ritter, the Statler brothers, people that he was friends with, that he worked with, Marty Robbins, a lot of people were there. Gordon, a lot of old timers, that showed up in Casita Springs. But then through the years, he was such good. Waylon and Chris Offerson were the 2 best friends, and I was really close to both of them. So it was really cool.
Well, they were probably like the other fathers too.
They were, both of them were. Chris is today. Yeah. He played the festival last year.
Right.
And he told me that he wanted to come and do it for nothing for Father's Day weekend for me.
That's pretty sweet.
It was really special.
Really sweet.
Yeah.
Better than chocolates.
Better than chocolates. Much better.
Speaking of Chris Christopherson, we have a clip where he talks a bit about his friendship with Johnny Cash. Let's roll that clip now.
unlike anybody I ever knew. And he was a great example as far as being concerned about other people. One of the blessings of my life that I got to know him as well as I did.
Oh, they were really funny together. Dad started a lot of cool trends.
Yeah.
I remember him telling me, when I die, I want you to put a little ponytail with a black ribbon in the back of my head so I can die and be like Benjamin Franklin. And I said,
Wow.
Dad, and he goes, Roy Orbison and I talked about that before, and we really wanted to do that. And I said, did Roy do it? Because Roy had passed away already. He said, no, he didn't do it, so I guess I shouldn't do it either. And he wouldn't do it.
Wow. Amazing.
Or he wouldn't allow me to let that happen. Yeah, he had a lot of creativity in that little brain of his.
Yeah, he most certainly did. In fact, I think the throwing in the horns on Ring of Fire kind of was a last minute thought of his.
That was took a lot of nerve, actually. It scared
Big
a lot
time.
of record
Back then?
producers.
Oh, phew.
Terrified of horns. He had a dream
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Wow. It looks as though you brought a few of your cherished mementos of your father's.
I only brought a
maybe
couple
you'd like to
things.
share with us.
This one thing that I brought is the last thing Dad gave me about 3 weeks before his passing, or I usually say before he left.
Oh my goodness.
And that is his double platinum award for Folsom Prison Blues. He received it 3 weeks before he left. He left September 12th,
Yes.
2003. And this came to him 3 weeks before that. And
Wow.
I was living with him at the time. After June passed away, he lived only for 4 more months.
Right.
And I moved in with him. I was newly married and moved in with him, and just my husband was great about it. One day my dad said, go to a certain room in his house. He said, look on the bed, and there is a double platinum award for Folsom Prison laying there. Will you take that baby and go put that in the trunk of your car? And I said, why? What, you want to have it reframed, or what? I didn't have a clue what it was. He said, no, I want you to keep it for me. And so obviously a very...
Boy, that's give me some heartfelt shiver thing there. Oh, I understand you brought something else we might want to share with us.
I just brought a couple of pictures of Dad and I together. In fact, this is
I
this
think
is
just in
at
case the TV audience can't see what that says, it's pretty
yeah,
hilarious.
they probably
if you
don't
might
want to see that right
recite
there.
it. No way? Okay.
That husband didn't end up with me very long. And actually, I put these pictures together because they just kind of went together, and I thought, I just kept laughing when I was doing it because he was really whispering in my ear, please, baby, make a run for the car. I'll see you back later at the house. And he did.
Well, thank you both for being here tonight. So
Thank
great
you.
to speak with both
Thanks
of you.
for having us.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Cindy?
Across the country were canceled due to the coronavirus. Many people went online. South by Southwest 2020 Film Festival collection was actually picked up by Amazon, and for a limited time, a documentary about the first wife of legendary country music star Johnny Cash is available for anyone to stream. Here's a clip of My Darling Vivian.
And they love the songs of Christmas.
She was a very private person and was not prepared for all of the attention and public life and my dad's notoriety and fame. There was nothing in her past that would have prepared her for that. And it's nothing she ever wanted.
Earlier, I spoke to the film's director, Matt Riddlehoover, and the film's producer, Justin Tittle. Justin is a grandson of Johnny Cash and Vivian Liberto.
Well, I want to thank you guys both very, very much for taking the time to join us. Dustin, your grandmother is Vivian and your grandfather is Johnny Cash. The love story I think that most people know about Johnny Cash is with June Carter Cash and himself. Why did you feel it was so important to share this love story between Johnny Cash and Vivian?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. It's really wonderful to be able to be here and to talk about this. It was really important to both of us to tell this story simply because her story is fascinating, and she has a place in the history of my family and it's an unknown part of a very public family's sort of history.
You know, Matt, with Walk the Line, where it tells Johnny Cash's story with June Carter Cash, it's not a very sympathetic portrayal of Vivian in that at all. And seeing this documentary, you see such a different side of Johnny Cash, and also you really see Vivian's perspective from these home videos, from these photographs. What are you hoping that people will take away when they watch this documentary?
Just how you started in the question, that Walk the Line was a completely unfair portrayal of this woman and what she went through, that she is a woman to be admired, you know, for her courage and strength and unconditional love.
Justin, we see Vivian really loved him through it all, even until his last day. This is from the perspective of her 4 daughters. How did drugs factor into how life changed for Johnny Cash?
Well, I think my grandfather's sort of journey through drug addiction and ultimately into recovery is really public. The thing that really sort of struck me about talking to my mom and talking to her sisters was sort of the private consequences of drug addiction. You know, it's one thing to be on the road a lot and to have your family back at home, which is just part of an entertainer's life. It's another thing to, when you come home, you're not you. And I can't imagine the toll that took on not just, you know, my grandmother, but the entire household. It had to have just created an insurmountable vacuum.
Some people know about the story of Johnny Cash being arrested for drugs. Vivian came to bail him out. There was a photo that made it into the papers that made her look much darker than she was. She's Italian. I think about the 60s and that time period. The KKK were after her family. What was that like? What did that pressure, the racial pressure and that component, ultimately do to her marriage and their love story?
You know, I think that after everything that had happened prior, I think that was Vivian's breaking point. She filed for divorce as kind of an ultimatum and wishful thinking, and thinking that maybe if he sees I'm serious, he'll come back.
I also look at her as this portrayal of women of particularly a certain generation who did it all, raised the kids, did the cleaning. She even had a shotgun because there were rattlesnakes that came around her property. I mean, like physically defending her kids even. When you look back on the sacrifices she made during her lifetime for those 4 daughters, what stands out to you?
One thing that I think I need to convey is that despite the fact that I'm family, and when my grandma Vivian died, I was 21, so I was old enough to have known her and had a relationship with her. I learned a lot about her in this experience. You know, I was sitting and we were interviewing my Aunt Roseanne and my mom and my Aunt Cindy and Tara. And in each interview, I learned something new. And in each interview, I learned something new that broke my heart. And the thing that really stands out to me is that you can look back on her life, and if you take her in the totality of just a human being who had all of these experiences, you know, lived with, I think, her own internal reflections on things that she gave up. She was just very selfless in that way. And to her, there was nothing more important than family, and you can see that through every vein of her life story, I think.
There are so many fans who love the relationship of what they knew of Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. What do you guys want them to know about Vivian Liberto?
Well, it's important that from my perspective, I always thought I was lucky or special because I had more grandparents than anyone else. And my grandpa John and my grandma June, I don't want in any way for this film to diminish the very real love that they had for each other. I think the thing that's important is that really the whole point of the film is to do right by my grandma Vivian, who in our mind, and I think in the minds of a lot of people, has been treated unfairly just from a historical perspective.
Do you think, you know, as big of an idol as Johnny Cash was, do you think that he ever missed that simple life, would have wished for it back?
I think he missed, it's so hard to speak for him because he was so complicated. He was very good at getting out of town and getting out of society and communing with nature because that was important to him. I think there were absolutely elements of a simpler life that he missed. Trying to guess at what they were, I'm really hesitant to do. I do know that he was a very complicated person who, in my mind, once he loved you, regardless of what happened, he never stopped.
Well, it is a fascinating documentary, a window into Johnny Cash's life and first wife, Vivian Liberto, that I had never knew even existed. I want to thank you guys very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Rena.